Let me take you through the steps that you need to do the conservation of momentum lab. Okay. Um, now, basically, what we're going to do is we're going to look at a video like this. Okay, and you can see this glider collides. A collides with B, and they move off at a rather stately manner afterwards. In fact, since the mass basically doubles, if you watch, the velocity goes down by a factor of 2. And what we're going to do is we're going to calculate the momentum before and after. But we can't do it just looking at this video. There's a much easier way to do it. So I'm going to show you that. Okay. So what we're going to do is basically follow these directions, right? So we're going to pick a movie at the bottom of the page. And this A and B are basically the same mass. Okay, if you look at these movies here, okay, these movies are like a lighter cart hitting the sky, right? Okay. Notice that the velocity goes way, way down for that. Okay. And you could choose any one you want. There's no problem with choosing any of these. Okay, I'm going to choose, I don't know, how about AB2 here? Okay, so I'm going to click download like that. Okay. Now, the next thing we got to do is we have to run the Vernier video analysis app, which has a whole bunch of tools in it that make what we're about to do super easy. Okay, so I'm going to click on this. Hopefully this will work. And if you're logged in as your ttststudents.org personality or whatever, okay, then this document is available to you. If you're not, you'll have to log in as your ttststudents.org type person. Okay, and then we want to go to this link. I don't know what this is going to look like to you. I own this thing, so I just click there and I get a link here, and it takes me there. And you'll see this brief moment of it thinks about it, and then you're in. Okay, because that's basically our license to use this, and that's why you have to be a ttststudents.org person to see it, because we paid for it. Okay, now I'm going to choose a file. And this part's going to look different for you on your Chromebook. On your Chromebook, it's going to save it to, when you click on that, it'll save it to your drive, and then you'll have to look in your drive. For me, I've got to look for it in the downloads, which I don't know if that's easier or harder. And I think for me, it's the MP4 or something like that. So I'm just going to click on, I don't know, this one here. I think that's the correct one. So you'll have to find it. It'll have that same name. Okay. Now, what we want to do, there's a number of things we want to do, but I want to make this video as big as possible. So I'm going to drag this thing here until there. Okay, that's good. Okay. The first thing I want to do, let's just hit play and just watch it. There it is. They collide. They're moving much more slowly. Okay. So just watch the whole video. You can see I scamper off. I did this, with my iPhone, my old iPhone. Okay. And then let's take it back. Does this take it back to the beginning? It does. Okay, there we go. Okay, the first thing we want to do before we take data is we have to tell it how big things are in the video. Now notice that there's a meter stick down here. Okay, so we're going to tell it. We're going to find that meter stick in the image, and we're going to tell it that it's a meter stick. Okay, so you're going to move this like that. Is that right? This is like where my OCD. Did I get this just right? Okay. And then what it's asking you is how big that is. Well, notice that its first guess is that you stuck a meter stick in the video, and that's what we did. So you can just leave that. We're done. I'm done with that. Okay. And then I want to go down here, and I want to advance. Every time I click on it, I want it to advance 5 frames. Otherwise, we'll have, a billion data points. Okay. So maybe not quite a billion, but Okay, so now we're all set. So now if you click add, all those tools go away. And what we want to do is we want to find the spot where I let go of it. So watch my hand there. See my right hand? Okay. I'm backing it up and then watch what I do here. Okay, I'm give it a push, and then I think right there, do you see my hand dropping away? I think my hand is now clear of that glider. I'm no longer touching it. This glider I'm going to hold still until just before it collides, and then I take my hand off of it. Because otherwise the air currents, these things are floating on air, kind of like an air hockey table. Okay, and otherwise the air currents make this thing kind of drift around, and we don't get very good data. Okay, now what I want to do, ideally I could use that little crosshairs and click on that little nut right there. the problem is it makes a giant blue dot on the screen, okay, which is helpful if the thing moves a lot, but when these guys collide and stick together, they're not moving very fast, and those dots kind of cover up where you're trying to click, so it's less helpful. But it's not really a problem, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the bottom of the crosshairs, which works just as well. Okay, see how there's that little dot there? I'm going to click and put my thing right above it, okay? So watch this. Boom. It advances 5 frames. Boom. It advances 5 frames. And if you look on the right side there, it's actually marking the X and Y coordinates of where I am on this video. Okay. Boom. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oops, they're collided now, right? Now, see, look how close these dots are now. Right? It's like we can't see where to click because the blue dot is covering up where we're supposed to click. It's like the joke. There's 2 guys walking down the street and they look ahead of them. There's a guy walking, he's got bananas in his ears, right? And the first guy says to the second guy, he says, "Why does that guy have bananas in his ears?" And the second guy says, "Well, I don't know, why don't you ask him?" So the guy walks up to him and says, "Excuse me, sir, why do you have bananas in your ears?" And the guy says, "I'm sorry, I can't hear you, I've got bananas in my ears." Is that a funny joke? So here's the thing, is that like, my sister-in-law thinks that's the funniest joke in the world. And I always thought it was dumb, but the older I get, the funnier I think it is. Because this is the same thing, right? If we clicked actually on that dot, we couldn't see where to click because the dots would be in our way. Okay, notice that I've got about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 dots before. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I got a lot more dots afterwards. Okay, so I think we're good. I don't have to wait for this thing to get all the way to the edge there. I'm ready to move on with my life here. Okay, so I'm going to grab this and make this graph be as big as possible because it's the graph that we want. Okay, I want to make that be as big as possible, and then I'm going to make it be x velocity. That's all we care about. Okay. That's good. And then go in here and tell it to edit graph options, the y-axis range. How about scaling always show 0? There we go. Okay, I think that's good. Now, you can see here's my velocity before the collision. Here's during the collision, so we definitely don't want to analyze those dots. And then this is my velocity after the collision. That's pretty good, right? It stays fairly constant. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to get actually some data for this. Okay, so watch this. Okay, what's this? What does that do? Oh, view options. Oh, okay, video, data table. There we go, just the graph. Okay, I could have done that too. All right, good enough. All right, so I'm just looking at the graph, and what I want to do here is select. I'm suspicious that that dot is part of the collision, but I know that this part is not part of the collision. So that's before. Go down here and say view statistics. And then to move this, you have to move it like left and right or up and down, okay? And then there it is, right? So there it is. Mean is the average. Minimum is the minimum velocity. Max is the maximum velocity. And those are the 3 numbers you want to write down. The mean, the min, and the max, okay? So write those down, that's it, right? And then let's look at the velocity afterwards, okay? I'm suspicious about this dot, but I think I'm going to include it. So I'm going to go, whoop, whoop, and here it is afterwards, and I'm going to do the same thing. View statistics, okay? And we can move this graph, move that up, and then I feel like I should move this to the left. Come on, baby. Come on, won't it let me move it to the left? It's very persnickety. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. So look, there's my mean, my min, and my max, okay? Now, really, we just doubled the mass of this roughly, Okay, so this should have cut the velocity in half, and you can see that that's more or less the case. Okay, and what I'm going to do here is just take a screenshot of this, and then I'll show you how to take these numbers, make a data table out of them. Okay, but for this video, that's all we need. So I'm going to stop here.